And we're back with J.C. Higgins. Sears Roebuck and Company strikes again. This time it was in 22 caliber. The year was 1951. This design might seem familiar to you, but not because of a J.C. Higgins connection. We're going to take a look at some patents, and we're going to reveal some surprising conclusions. Go check it out. Milsurp Garage. So what do we got here? We got another J.C. Higgins. This is my first J.C. Higgins in 22 caliber, and it's pretty awesome. It tube magazine here. It's got a tube magazine, 17 rounds in the tube. This makes it a 17 plus 1 capacity. We have a alloy receiver here. You see the magnet sticking, but it's sticking to the metal behind it. You can see that the receiver itself, the trigger guard, aluminum. For 1951, that's pretty advanced. Crossbolt safety here. You can see the charging handle is completely on the opposite side of the gun than the ejection port. And we're going to check this out. This might seem familiar. This was kind of crazy to me. We're going to talk about it. It's got a blank here for the rear sight. Still maintains a front, its normal regular front sight. But this scope right here, this comes on the rifle. This is here's a picture of the rifle, like right straight from the catalog of what it would look like. This is the scope that comes with it. It is marked J.C. Higgins Rifleman 4X, 4-power scope. The optics on this one are pretty good, and it's sighted in pretty nice. It was needed a little tweak, but it came out perfect. The wood on this guy is not the cheap wood that everybody says these would normally come with. It has a nice J.C. Higgins butt plate back here. This is interesting. Looks like some type of what is that? It's like a half squirrel, half rooster. Little target over here. Interesting, like crest. Never saw that before. But real nice fit and finish, nice tight fit of the butt plate. The wood to the receiver, really nice. So let's talk about these. What did I find when I first started researching? Well, you remember this here, this list. I keep this list for my J.C. Higgins guns now, and I highlight them when I get another one. Not like I'm going to wind up getting all of these, but just kind of keep track of what we got. And here's this one over here, 583.71. And there's a lot of 583.7 somethings over here. And they all say High Standard Model 30, 31. This is a High Standard Model 28. It doesn't even have a High Standard number, actually. That's actually wrong. It's a J.C. Higgins Model 28. But High Standard makes it. So High Standard at this point were not making their own 22s. They were manufacturing these for Sears. And Sears, from what I'm reading now, this is where it gets interesting. Sears bought this patent supposedly from Remington. So that's what I'm reading. I thought that was a little odd. Now, there is a Remington. What is it? The 552? Was that what it was? Where do I have... where is my info? How dare me not have my info ready and open. Here it is. Yes. So it's the Remington. Yeah, the 5.52 Speedmaster. This is a 5.52 Speedmaster right here. It's plainly obvious that these are one and the same. And if you didn't start researching these patents and pulling out these patents, I think they have it a little bit backwards. So let's take a look. So this is the instruction manual that comes with the Model 28. Model 28 was itself a standalone gun. They only made this supposedly in 51 and 52. In 51, it was the 583 .71, and then it skipped to 583.73 for 52. And that was the only 2 years they made the Model 28. And while there is an instruction manual specifically for the 28, the parts list is actually it just runs with the Model 30. So you could see these model numbers here, and plus, the other ones that we just had here that you see. There's just a ton of them here, different high standard models. You could see here, if you've ever seen this one. I had a bid up on one of these, and I fell asleep. I had a bid on Gunbroker for one of these. I guess it's a Model 30. I fell asleep, and then when I woke up, I had lost the bid by like $5, whatever. I would have bid more. It sold very cheap, and what was interesting to me was it had a sling that kind of retracted into the stock, and it just stayed in there. And when you wanted the sling, you pulled this out. It was like spring loaded, and you attached it here, and when you were done, it was like a window shade. You just pulled it, and it wound itself up by spring action into the stock. I thought that was pretty cool. I guess that's the mechanism of it right here. And I was kind of enamored by that. But this one is, I guess, basically the same rifle, but just without that option. This is one of the differences, at least one of the differences between that and the Model 30. But this is why you see this list right here just had Model 30. But there's this other list here. I know this is going to be impossible to read. I know the writing is very, very small on this. I tried to enlarge it, but it was in a format where I couldn't enlarge. But you can see they do break this down with Model 28 and Model 30. There's a pretty comprehensive list too with the J.C. Higgins guns, and this is a crazy kind of chart here. What is this? Sears rimfire rifles made by High Standard. So here you go. This is a whole list of guns. These were manufactured by High Standard for Sears. Sears owned the design. Now, the whole thing about buying the patents from Remington, this is where it gets interesting, because I'm going to show you why. So here are the patents for this rifle. Now, this rifle made in 1951, right? Okay. So we have F.L. Humiston is the inventor here. We actually had two guys. Who is the other guy? Where's my paperwork? Frederick L. Humston. He was the guy that helped perfect the M1 carbine back in the day. We spoke about this guy once before. I think it was with another one of these J.C. Higgins, maybe one of the shotguns. And yeah, I guess that was the only guy. I had another name, but apparently it's just a little confusing how they write it. He's the attorney down here, so we don't have to talk about it. The attorney, Frederick L. Humiston, patent number 2552429, and this is it right here. This is the patent for the magazine throat for firearms. And if you see, check this out over here. These patents, a signer of 1/2 to the High Standard Manufacturing Corporation, a corporation of Connecticut, and 1/2 to Sears, Roebuck and Company, Chicago, Illinois. So it's a dual owned patent for Sears and High Standard. If you notice, there's no Remington involved here. And I'm looking at this. This is the mechanism that we're dealing with here. All right, and I actually look at this is pretty descriptive here. I read through all of this. If you're interested, you can do this. I mean, look at it. It's huge. Big patent here. Here's another one. And this was 41. This is 51. This is right around when this came out. Now he has other patents. Telescope mount for firearms. See this mount right here? I mean, look there. There's a pretty unique looking mount with these rings like that hook underneath here. The rings hook underneath. Pretty neat, cool design that really locks up nice and tight. And this is it right here. This was 1939. This telescope mount for firearms. There you go. There's the mount. Here's another Humiston patent, 1945, for the sear. Didn't get inside the trigger group. They say this is a touchy one. You shouldn't really take the trigger group out of here unless you really have to. So I didn't mess around. It's one of those ones that's supposed to be sticky to get back together with a lot of springs shooting around and all kind of stuff, and I didn't want to mess it up. There's not much information on it, so I didn't want to mess around. And then there's, so there's this patent for the sear. Yeah, and there's another one here. Well, this is for a shotgun, but it's a cartridge stop. Means for tubular magazine firearms. But what's interesting, even though this is set up for a shotgun, this is a patent for a shotgun. And if you notice, they're all high standard. Every single one of them is high standard and Sears. I go back, look, even this one from 1945. High standard. This one is just high standard. It says Sears, so I thought it said Sears. But let's see the one from 39. Is this one just high standard also? Signer to Western Cartridge Company. That's interesting. It's Winchester, ain't it? Well, this guy was definitely all over the place, but I don't see Remington on any of these papers, okay? And again, like I was saying, even though this is for a cartridge stop, I did see some similar design in here. So I'm seeing Humiston all over this gun, right? Here's another one. Buffer device for firearms. I don't remember if this is one I wanted to research a little more. I don't remember if I actually saw a buffer inside of this guy. This design right here might exist inside of here. Not sure, but this one was for High Standard also. And I mean, High Standard was making these. Now here's the Remington 5.52. Here's what's interesting. So, we're in 1951 and 1952. You see the date of all these patents. Here's the history for the Remington Model 5.52. Got this from Wikipedia. The 5.52, introduced in 1957. That's quite a time, quite a bit of time after, wouldn't you think? And yeah, 1957. Here's the patents for Crittenden, who supposedly put together some stuff for this gun. Fire control for firearms. Now here, we see these are assigned to Remington. These patents were attached to the 5.52. I don't see this design going on in this trigger guard at all. Rockable breech bolt locking block. Okay, this is just straight blowback here. There's no locking block. This is a Crittenden patent as well. This stuff is not going on in here. Gas operating mechanism for an auto-loading firearm. These are the patents attached. This is not a gas-operated firearm at all. And once again, these are Remington patents here. So I'm going to go out on a limb. All right, I'm going to put this out there. I don't think this gun was made off of Remington patents at all. I think that Sears and High Standard collabed, and they had Mr. Humiston. Mr. Humiston invented a pretty cool gun here with some of his patents, and with High Standard producing it for Sears. And I would think Remington liked the design and they bought it themselves. So I think it's the other way around. I think Remington got this design from High Standard or from Sears. Realistic snap caps. Let's show you how smooth this thing is. This thing is very, very smooth. Very, very smooth to load and to operate. The realistic snap caps, by the way, use coupon code Milsurp Garage, one word, and you will get 10% off your order. These guys are buddies of mine and help out our channel. If you guys support these, support them. I love these things. This is a non-paid endorsement, by the way. I love my snap caps, and I'm so glad they just recently came out with these 22 versions, and that makes me happy because I was using these crappy aluminum ones that were coming apart. Now, I only got 10 of them. This thing could fit 17 in here, so I got a couple more. Here. Open it up. Very smooth tube, by the way. You know, I've always discussed with you how you could always tell the quality of these 22s by how you have to fight this tube when you want to. Look at that, it goes right down. Not catching on the rounds, and nice and smooth. It's always a little dicey when you're down around here, when you're in front of the muzzle and you're loading it. You got to be up here. If you want to walk it down like this and stay away from being in front of the muzzle, you could do that too. It's a little trick. You can just walk it down like that. But when it's full and it takes 17 rounds, this spring gets pretty compressed. It gets pretty tight. But look at how look at how this thing loads. You could see the round tip up like that. It's beautiful. Watch how smooth. This is one of those ones we could go slow if we want. It's not going to choke on any of these. It's beautiful. And what's pretty cool about it is when it ejects, you never know where it's going to go. Sometimes it goes forward, sometimes it goes backwards, it goes up, down. It's like one of those mystery ones where it could go anywhere. I kind of like that. I like when they're eclectic like that and the brass just flies all over the place. Yeah, so what else we got? I got some shooting footage here. Listen, let me tell you, this thing took a little bit of sighting in, but it is very, very consistent. The trigger pull feels great. The very snappy action. Nothing was lazy. Nothing. I would notice that a couple of times on the last shot, the brass would kind of get stuck. When the bolt closed, it would close on the brass in a weird way. It happened twice out of maybe loading this tube and shooting the gun 20 times. For like full mag, maybe 20, 25 times. Not one single misfire. Every single shot went off. And twice the brass got stuck. I think I have those on video, and I'll put up one of them if I had to use like a screwdriver to pop it out of there. But nothing crazy. Just I guess with it seems that the design is dependent on the next round coming up to help locate the brass that's being extracted, to help it out. Because it happened twice when it was the last brass to eject, and there's no last round hold open, so the bolt would kind of close on it sideways. But other than that, no hitches. That was the only issue. I love these snap caps. Look at these things. Do I have all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. I gotta get another set. I gotta have to, with guns like this, I have to have at least 20 of these on hand. I think they're a great, they're the greatest snap caps there are. You don't want to drop the hammer on them because unless you want to just use them as disposable, they're cheap enough. But these are really just for function testing. You could just take a spent brass and put it in there to see how you're denting your, I mean, if they're all, here, look, I mean, 22 brass is not that hard to, come by. I save a whole bunch of them when I get a new gun, and I just check them to see if there's any tearing, splitting, anything weird going on. None of that with this. And you could use that brass if you really want to test how the firing pins are hitting. But for function testing, you can't really use the brass, the spent brass, and you certainly don't want to use live rounds, especially rimfire. Rimfire is very testy. It could get caught. You could just get caught in the action in a weird way, and hit the rim. The rim could get hit. So using inert rounds is a necessity when you're function testing these 22s. And I noticed that function testing with 22s is more important than with other guns. It seems like they require a little bit more of that tuning finesse to get them 100% perfect, But yeah, this thing, because of this aluminum receiver, it doesn't feel crazy heavy, but it has that heft. It doesn't feel light either, And this scope is awesome. So yeah, J.C. Higgins Model 28, U.S. patent pending. That's why it was a little tough to get information. It didn't actually have the numbers on here. And that's another thing. See, these patents were pending when this was made in 51. I mean, how are the patents pending in 51 if Remington didn't release the 552? 4522 was the 552 Speedmaster. They didn't release that till 57. I don't know. I just don't go for it. I smell High Standard all over this one as the designer and the holder of the original patents for it. I think Remington came along afterwards. Not that Remington had this and Sears bought it from them. 583.71, and look at the scope. J.C. Higgins Rifleman 4X. Gotta love it. And this is the original scope. This is the photo here of what this gun looked like new. And you can tell from this very distinctive brass block here with the sighting mechanism. And this was very, very responsive. 1 click, 2 click, 3 click definitely made a difference in how, a lot of times these are very all over the place. You know what I mean? You turn it a little and it goes, it moves a whole bunch. Then sometimes you just keep twisting, and it's not going anywhere. These things can be frustrating, especially on these like so-called cheaper scopes, But both this mounting system here is really cool, and this was very responsive. These adjusters were very responsive. And these, they don't have any protectors over them. I don't think anything went over here, but whatever, you just got to be careful not to bang into them or move them around too much. And yeah, it's awesome 22. I'm glad to enter into the J.C. Higgins universe of 22s with this one. And it certainly will not be my last. And the tube 2 is this aluminum. It's not the brass tubes we're used to. Pretty sure this is aluminum. They're light as hell. This must be aluminum. But aluminum is also very slidey and slippery in these steel tubes. Feels good. It feels a lot like the brass. I don't mind it so much at all. And yeah, what do you want to go in here? Let's go in here. We'll go in here a little bit. I was going to say, every time I say I'm going to keep these videos shorter and shorter. I lose like 95% of the viewers in the first like 12 minutes. So It's almost like, what's the point of being here longer? It's for the other 5%. That's my answer. Because those are, right now, if you're still watching, you're my Milsurp Garage Elite. Yeah, so here, this is pretty simple, huh? It's just a spring down here with a ring that runs around the magazine tube. And I really want to get in here to show you and examine the feeding mechanism and to compare it to Humiston over here. I think this is the one we really want to get in here and compare it to. We want to look at this stuff. But I'm telling you, I think this is it. Maybe we'll do a more in-depth one when I have the courage to, here's a good shot. I'm going to get the courage to take this apart. Remember we saw that? Remember we saw the round sticking up like that? That's why I'm thinking that it's this design. See how it shows it loading? Let's take a look at that again. You saw how that round was pointed up, right? I'll show you again because I'm not sure if we really saw it that close. But let's get another realistic snap cap in there, and let's compare. Let's see. We'll look at that angle even. Let's see what that looks like. Let's get the wood out of the way here. Get it over here. Well, let's take a look. Let's look at that angle. Let's look at that angle right there. Kind of commit that to memory. And let's see what this looks like. Where is it? There it is. Oh, yeah. I would say so. Yep. I would say that this patent right here, 1951, the dates make sense. The dates make sense. Who it was assigned to here makes sense. One half to High Standard and one half to Sears. I mean, what do these other Crittenden ones have anything to do with it? It's just this. It's just not pertinent. This is pertinent. This is what it is right here. This is the patent. This is the design. This is the year. These are the people it was made for. This is the guy. Remington bought this, ladies and gentlemen. So that common narrative that's all over the internet is a lot of malarkey. All right, don't forget to visit realisticsnapcaps.com. Look, I like how this. Look at how that locates with the nub on there. That's nice, right? Look at how nice that goes on there. This is quality. I don't want to hear the nonsense anymore that this J.C. Higgins brands weren't quality. This is High Standard in 1951, making a .22 rifle, and Sears was not bouncing checks. I'll tell you that. So this was quality stuff. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the visit into the J.C. Higgins Model 28. And yeah, we're gonna have another J.C. Higgins. We're gonna explore these so-called bargain basement, like these retail outlet, high volume retail store guns, because they've been fascinating me, and there hasn't been a single one that's been junk. So I think I definitely was misinterpreting what these things were when I would see them on the shelves, and like, I don't pass them up anymore. I'm actually targeted to them. I think I paid less than $150 for this. Okay. All right, y'all. So y'all take care. Thanks for the new subscribers. Glad to have you. We got some real cool stuff on the way. And my regulars, thanks for tuning in for the half hour. I'm going to keep them under half an hour. That's a promise. And we did this time. And thanks for hanging in there. And Have a good weekend, and we'll see you all soon. Later.